Welcome back, everyone. We are just about ready to kick off our next brawl with Invictus Gaming going head-to-head against Cloud9. In the last week of the regular season, Cloud9 was fighting to avoid relegation. Since then, they've come on a run, and their team's trajectory has a lot of people surprised, not least of which is the members of Cloud9 themselves.
That's going to be the Nexus. That's going to be the game. That's going to be a trip to the World Championship for Cloud9.
It's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you can get back up.
It was definitely a big roller coaster this entire season. It felt pretty terrible at the beginning. It kind of felt like inevitably we would just lose. Right when we got high, it kind of felt like we were immediately much better.
We are 6 weeks into the season, getting smack daddied, and this is where we turn it around. We shall bounce back from the grave.
Even though we didn't get it down all correctly, we still were losing games. It definitely felt like way better. Like we knew what to do that game. We knew how to play together as a team.
Shifter's gonna get taken out by High. A quadra kill for Sneaky as the rest of the team is just on point.
It took a while for things to get rolling, I guess, like the gears to start going. But once they did, then it started working really well. For the gauntlet, we had a very lucky run.
They could go on a miracle run to secure their third consecutive appearance at Worlds, but it has to start with today's matchup against Gravity.
We have potentially 3 best-of-5s to play. That's so many games, and they're all really good teams.
And they are able to come back from the 0-2 that Gravity put them in. Cloud9 are moving on to take on Impulse.
Huh, we beat Gravity.
Cloud9's backs against the wall. Their season ends today if they do not win this.
Cloud9 get the reverse sweep, and they're gonna face Team Liquid.
Wow, we beat Tip. And then we go into the series against Liquid.
Cloud9 makes the run all the way through the regional qualifier from 7th place in the regular season to Worlds.
We pulled it through finally to make it through the gauntlet in a pretty amazing run, honestly.
I didn't even think it was possible. I had no dream of going to Worlds once we were, in 9th place. So actually making it is just like a dream come true.
As I said, it took a while to fall into place, but nobody can take away from them the achievement and the improvement that they have made as a team, especially given their solid win on day 1 of the World Championship. However, on the flip side of things, IG had a rough start on opening day against Fnatic. How do they turn that all around today?
Yeah, they need a big performance out of their jungler. There's kind of the two sides to Kakao, and I said this earlier today. He's a feast or famine. He likes to farm up or he likes to gank a lot. And I think on the world stage, the gank heavy, get your lanes ahead, especially when you have Zatai and Rookie there. Just get them ahead, please.
It affects more of the game on an overall state. If you're just farming, you're really just affecting yourself at that point. And I feel like having that carnivorous style is what people are usually going for to see success on the world stage.
Well, it's also when Kakao was in Korea, definitely he was known as a highly aggressive jungler, right? Always looking to make those plays. He's one of the greatest junglers of all time, and he needs to show up in this tournament.
And don't get me wrong, when he farms, he's still aggressive because he's taking the enemy jungler away. He just plays a very Kakao-focused style of League of Legends. When he plays the likes of Nocturne, Nidalee, these champions that can get huge late game, he needs to be on an early game powerhouse.
So let me ask you a question, Spawn. So what was it? We saw IG come up, and they were playing on 5-16 in the regionals. What was it about 5-16, if anything, that really propelled them forward to qualify for the World Championship? Because they were very inconsistent before that.
They were. I think you have to take with a grain of salt that they beat EDG in the 3rd, 4th place match. EDG just looked like they were off kilter, so I agree with you. But IG kind of came in and were able to pick up the champion pool in the top lane before any other team in China. Zatai's champ pool has always been massive, and he latched onto these carries and was able to do great things.
Now, I want to put a microscope on the bot lane, Kid and Kitties, in relation to Cloud9. If Cloud9 does play as well as they did on the first day, how are they going to stack up against them?
I mean, I think that is a big mismatch, but Kid and Kitties, they probably had the best games I've seen, at least out of Kid, since like season 2. In that gauntlet, or in the, not the gauntlet, but the regional qualifiers. And that was, I think, a big part of their success. But I think that was a massive overperformance.
Polarizing is a word I'm going to use there, one way or the other. And generally you just don't get some good stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But on the other side of the rift, though, we have Sneaky, who he's up against, who's been a consistent performer for Cloud9, even when they're in their slumps. This has been the lane that they fall back on constantly, and he always seems to come up big, picking Draven and snowballing it in the regional qualifier themselves, and having these picks that he's been picking up. Ashe being able to be a huge tool for the team, and I feel like that helps them out in the pick and ban phase as well.
And I feel like Cloud9's bottom lane's always been innovative. Like Ashe Zyra, they play Zillion. They're just great in that regard.
Now you mentioned
They
pick
also
ban.
play Karma, all right.
And Karma to not much success.
all right.
We never said it was good
You spoke about
innovation.
pick ban, and I want to hammer this home. You know, the Veigar pick, day one, if we reference the C9 versus AHQ game, was a really big factor in the win there for Cloud9. Is this ban-worthy against Incarnation?
I definitely think it is. His TP, he's always going to bring it. He's been spamming it in solo queue. You have to see it coming. And if you don't have a solid counter pick for it, and when you counter pick a Veigar, it's usually an assassin. It's usually some pressure from your jungler as well. So Kakao would have to camp the lane. But I think it's ban-worthy unless you have a specific strategy for it.
I don't know what to think about Cloud9. I knew what to think about them coming into this tournament, and they, to their credit, played a very clean, very smart game against AHQ. But I also saw one of the worst Rengar games from Mountain that I've ever seen. So when the Rengar was necessary to snowball these solo lanes so they could get a split push, otherwise they were just going to be sieged to death. When HQ doesn't get that, the game tends to end quickly.
All right, well, it's about that time. Predictions, you know the drills. Irene, you're starting us off.
I'm going to go with Cloud9 on this one. I feel like they have the stronger bottom lane. Kid and Kitties are exploitable, and Sneaky is a huge powerhouse for Cloud9. Even though High has a mismatch against Kakao, if Kakao shows up like he did on the first day, which is not showing up at all, then they definitely take away the win here.
I'm going with IG here. I think they're going to step up. I have a lot of faith, especially in a jungler like Kakao against a new jungler like High. Kid and Kitties are exploitable, but I think they're exploitable by better teams than Cloud9.
Yeah, I have a theory about League of Legends that you need to bring 3 great players and then you just need 2 players to step up. I'm going with Invictus Gaming. They have 3 great players on the top side of the map and Faker Jr. in the mid lane. Rookie is an absolute monster.
Well, as he refused to be silenced, Crumbs, who is not scheduled to join us on the desk today, will not be silenced. So, Crumbs, take it away.
To come out of my man cave to tell you guys my pick. And of course, it's got to be Cloud9. And let me tell you why. Cloud9, since the beginning of time, has been a team that innovates a lot. They always bring out new picks. The Ashe, the Zyra, the Karma, Draven, Zac, endless picks. And in this tournament that has had so much variety and so many drafts have been lost just in the champ select, Cloud9 is the team to go for. On top of the fact that Sneaky has been performing so well, I think they're going to really put up the fight to Kid and Kitties. And to be honest, if you're on the IG side and you tell me, oh, but what about CZ Tai and the Balls matchup? Isn't that a worrying trend? Isn't CZ Tai just going to stomp all over Balls? Well, to that I tell you, aren't Balls the weakest region in all of us? You know, Cloud9, usually from the first game, we learned that they know how to take that weakness from an underperforming Balls, put him in a champion that's super easy and has a huge impact like Gangplank, and just let him be, let him do his thing. So picks like Malphite, the Maokai, the Gangplank, really put him on something that you don't need much skill in, and he's gonna be super useful, is how Cloud9 is gonna take this. Back to you, Dash.
Nothing more needs to be said. Nothing more needs to be said. It's 2-2. We have a split desk between the analysts. Now, as we toss it over to our casters, Rookie has been following Cloud9's turbulent year and believes IG can handle the surging team from North America.
시고 시고 팀이 예전에 되게 잘했잖아요. 하이 선수가 미드였고 그랬을 때 되게 많이 눈여겨봤고 그랬는데 아무래도 이번에는 사실 시고가 그렇게 눈에 띄지 않아서 잘 몰랐는데 하이 선수가 정글러로 가시고 롤드컵 다시 들어오셨더라고요. 그래서 경기를 몇 개 챙겨봤는데 그런 점에서 딱히 그러니까 경계가 된다거나 그러진 않지만 힘들 것 같지도 않은데 일단 어찌됐든 팀이니만큼 신경 쓰면서 방심하지 않고 준비할 생각입니다.
Hey guys, welcome back to the casting desk. Let's check out the starting lineups for our 2 teams, Cloud9 versus Invictus Gaming, and of course, for IG. Wow, the French crowd. I think we know who they're cheering for. Man, IG. It's Zeta in the top lane, Kakao in the jungle, Rookie in the mid lane, Kid at ADC, and finally down at support, his lane mate Kitties. Their coach, of course, the old KT player Mafa.
Yeah, very impressive roster for these guys. They're going to want to be bouncing back today.
On the red side, though, a team that won on the first day of the tournament, Cloud9. Balls in the top lane. High, now in the jungle. Ever since he came out of retirement. Incarnation in the mid lane, European talent there. Sneaky at 80 carry. And Lemon Nation on support with Bubba, of course, standing behind the ball.
Power of the mustache.
That mustache is pretty epic, dude. It's true, yeah. And I feel like we're coming into another situation where these teams need to prove themselves. Cloud9 needing to prove their win wasn't a fluke. IG just looking for that win.
Yeah, Cloud9's composition actually, the first 3 picks when they drafted their composition had a lot of question marks. Like, they're not running many tanks. How are they going to solve this problem? What can they pick to solve it? But then the combination of Veigar and Morgana together really work together. That Cage into Bind, Black Shield to counter some of the Juggernauts. Let's see if they get any of these champions again, because it was a good adaptation, but they did reveal their hand.
That's right. It looks like it is time to move into Champ Select, guys, for Invictus Gaming versus Cloud9. The Veigar ban right away banned out, as well as that Morgana.
Yeah, I also kind of feel like Incarnation gave away too much in the post-game interview. It's one of those strange things about players. You want them to be more telling of what happens, but they gave away strategy. They said they would blind pick Veigar going into the match against AHQ.
Unless it was the ultimate mind game.
That's all
Yeah,
it is, man.
Because
Very
clearly they don't
calculated.
want to pick that champion. Yeah.
Alistar, the other ban for IG. Meanwhile, Gangplank, Lulu, and Mordekaiser banned out by Cloud9, and that will lead to a Gragas first pick for IG.
Yeah, just hopefully a more aggressive champion here for Kakao. The Sightstone Rush Skarner doing less than 1,000 damage was not his best debut on the world stage after being so close so many times.
The weakest jungle performance we've seen in a very, very long time. All summer, in fact, if we go by champion damage.
Yeah, and again, it also thematically didn't fit the style of the match. That match required an aggressive early game jungler. Perhaps you can get away with it against Cloud9, because High doesn't seem to be, as punishable as jungle, but at the same time, Kakao should be actually be able to invade, so that is the merit of an aggressive jungle here.
And I think what this also means, since it's been picked so early, is that Cloud9 better be matching with an aggressive jungler of their own. High did play Lee Sin. I actually wouldn't be too surprised if he ended up playing it again, because again, an early Darius pick. Will Cloud9 be able to play around this with enabling champions and jungle pressure?
I just don't know about this early Darius. It's been punished so hard now by so many teams. It's won very few games. It's lost a lot. What do you think, Krepa?
Yeah, the Gnar matchup is just growing on me. Initially, I thought...
Bard.
Whoa, there's the Bard.
Hang on, boys.
Krepo, Bard.
All right.
Krepo's been talking about Bard.
Non-stop. To the annoyance of many of my casters, I've actually been banned of the caster prep room. They're talking too much about
Hey,
Bard.
I don't
That's actually,
mind.
That's actually
I could probably talk about Bard at this point. You've told me so much about him, but I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'll get back to Bard once we see these compositions.
Are you sure? It's right here.
Bard is just a fantastic pick. I'll need to see what enemy mid laners play. I think Bard punishes enemy mid laners that are low mobility incredibly well. Let's see Cloud9 if they fall into that trap. But overall, just to finish and round out the point of the Gnar, I've just really been enjoying that matchup with the Frozen Mallet kiting here. The Darius, in addition to that, Bard kites incredibly well. CDR boots Bard in teamfights. Don't drop to boots 1 mobility because you lose your mobility boots bonus. Walk backwards that Q. It can get denied by Braum Shield. That is one of the better matchups because Bard Q is obviously 2 parts. You need to connect to a minion or a player or a wall behind the target. Braum Shield denies that, but overall, can punish at least 2. Hit the spiraling, hit at least so many outplay potentials.
Oh,
I'm loving
excited now. Elise and Tristana locked in. Sivir insta-locked by Kid. So what's the last pick going to be for IG? Looking for a mid laner here.
They have to pick it blind and do whatever Incarnation can counterpick with. Twisted Fate has been banned against a lot of different teams, and this would go for a big snowball comp here for
Rookie's
IG.
a great
Twisted
TF
Fate
player.
Twisted Fate Bard is like one of the classic things that everyone expected to be played with Bard when Twisted Fate came in. The synergy of the TF ultimate as well as the Bard ultimate, just comboing with each other to cut off zones of escape is huge.
But it's almost too much into one direction almost, because they're relatively weaker if the ultis really don't come together. Because no teamfight value out of a TF ulti, obviously, since it doesn't matter at all because he's already there. And Bard really wants to make picks too with his ultimate. So very pick-oriented, kind of from Invictus Gaming, wants to split up and then flank with the Gnar potentially later. But we're still looking at Cloud9 here. They want some wave clear on their mid laner, and wave clear mid laners generally do get punished by compositions like this. TF can port in if he gets picked, but he wasn't picked. Obviously, Echo can snipe with parallel convergence, but it's a little hard.
Well, Rookie's had some pretty epic games on Echo during the summer, and so this is a very serious pick for Cloud9 to consider as they figure out what Incarnation's going to bring to the mid lane.
Maybe Victor Just thinking about that.
Wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, for the most part, Incarnation has been playing fairly standard picks during the end of the regular season in the Gauntlet. His Orianna is exceptionally strong. Victor is also good.
What about
I was thinking the exact same thing, Jed. I think he will go for Orianna here. It seems like a good composition also to snowball Sneaky, one of the more consistent members of Cloud9. Just keep him in the game, an extra shield to keep him alive, and then get around that. Or balls.
Well, I mean, Command Protect, having the ability to use Shockwave if Darius gets in.
Azir.
There's the Azir locked in. I feel like it's a good matchup against the Echo. Looks like that's what Incarnation thinks too.
You have really high damage. It gives them more turret destruction abilities, but if we're playing the rotation game against Bard, it's actually a pretty dangerous game to be playing. Cloud9's definitely going to be wanting to take down a lot of early turrets, and IG is going to be playing a fairly early game focused strategy as well.
Tempered Fate just offers you so many different play patterns that are just not common to be seen at all just in regular play. The fact that you can make a tower invulnerable, you can make minions invulnerable, suddenly switching tower aggro, you can dive in completely different situations. 2v1 diving is incredibly risky. 2v1 diving with Bard Immortal up eliminates a tower. You're just 2v1ing somebody at that point. So it just unlocks a couple of really nice new play patterns, especially when you're running a very pick-oriented composition. IG will have to be careful though once they group up, because a lot of these compositions that do fairly well in split modes, 1-3-1, do have a lot of downsides when it comes to team fighting.
Either way, guys, we are in for a magical journey as we move into Invictus Gaming versus Cloud9. Oh, you know it is. You know it's going to be a magical journey. Don't you, Jad?
That is the best named skill I think we have ever had in League of Legends.
It is.
Finalis, Vulcan.
No. Yeah, sorry. It's not even called that anymore, Crepo. You're vetoed. I apologize.
There are now 300 really angry people that Crepo just reminded of a name change.
It's out there. It's out there. Hashtag IG win if you think Invictus Gaming is going to take it, guys, or hashtag C9 win if you think the NA squad has got what it takes to win this game as we move on to Summoner's Rift. Such an exciting matchup. Cloud9, the improbable team, against a Chinese team that people, again, I feel like we're saying this a lot about Chinese teams, we're expecting a lot more from. Let's get on to the Rift.
Listen, coming into this World Championship, China was seen by most as the best region as far as overall strength sent to Worlds here, and we're in day 3. Currently, the only teams that a Chinese team has beaten was one game against H2K and one game against Bangkok Titans. Everything else they have been defeated on. They need to be able to step up.
And that was one team with both of those wins, too.
Absolutely, DBG.
Yeah.
IG and LGD yet to pick up a win.
C9 getting a bit feisty in the enemy jungle early on.
And they do have Braum, incredibly good level 1 support here, just applying the passive. They're going in with some aggressive vision. Being matched at the other side, pretty standard here. Overall, the way this vision is going to pan out. And see where the lanes end up, though.
Yeah, pretty normal deep wards coming in from both teams. Looks like we're not going to see any big level 1 brawl like we saw so much of yesterday.
Yeah, even a mid lane ward placed by Incarnation. Slight tweaks in where you find your ward placement here. You can see there's 2 deep wards from IG in the blue jungle of Cloud9, but 3 wards if you look at the mirror of those wards. So slightly different moves and slightly different plays here at level 1.
Now something we have to keep track of is whether IG is going to actually end up hard leashing for Kakao, but it does seem that they go for the double jungle. In the regional qualifier, very often Kakao would get help from either Zitai from a leash or even his bot lane. That would propel him forwards, and then he could aggressively take out the enemy jungle. Because the map has been divided into 2 though, we do see complete double jungling starting up here.
I see a missed opportunity here by Cloud9. When you're invading the Gromp, you can actually freeze the wave before it gets to the turret to guarantee the freeze, but they're taking the Gromp instead. They didn't go for that. Maybe they thought they were doing this uncontested, but because they were seen by the ward in the river, it just ends up being...
Yeah. It's actually a really cool move to do that. It helps you just get a little more creeps in lane once you return. The downside is that obviously that you reveal that you're starting at that side of the jungle, makes it slightly more predictable, but in the lane swap, doesn't matter all that much. See if C9 keeps the traditional lane swap style where they fast push 3v0, 4v0 to get the tower and then get balls ahead. They really want to get that tower down first, bounce the wave, and keep funneling as much farm as possible into balls on Darius here to get him ahead.
Rookie getting aggressive onto Incarnation already, but Incarnation the one who comes out a little bit ahead in life. Rookie, though, he's got that flask, he's got some pots. He's in it for the long haul in the mid lane.
Yeah, Rookie is a tremendous laner, so he's probably going to be looking to play quite aggressive in this game if wards are permitted.
Look at what Cloud9 is doing, though. Single push here from their AD carry route or Sneaky in the top lane. If IG realizes they can send their top laner top, who soaks so much farm.
The exact play right here would be Zatai teleporting top lane and then still trying to zone up, but they need all 4 people down here because they're trying to keep balls off the turret. Lemonation was also given solo experience on Gromp, so he is a level 2 Braum, slightly stronger when they're rotating him around the map, but now finally they're doing the teleport, and honestly, they still might be able to hold the zone with 3 people.
Look like where their jungler is. Their jungler is at Krugs right now, so High completely at the other side of the map. Balls trying to get to that tower, but he has to share experience with Lemonation. Whereas on the top lane, Zitai is ranged, can farm well against Tristana when the wave is under his tower. Tristana, I think, already skilled E2, so he'll be continuously pushing in.
Elimination trying to harass a little bit as IG tries to go for this blue buff steal. Looks like they'll be able to get it, though. C9 getting pushed around a bit on the map early on. Well, they do have a tiny gold lead.
This is exactly what happened. High traded some map pressure and top laner farm for his own selfish gains as a jungler. And honestly, it's not that different from how High played during the regular season. When he came in as a jungler, he was very farm heavy. A lot of that had to do with picking Sated Devour multiple times, but he transitions that playstyle to a few other things. High will do things that other junglers just simply do not do.
Like play a Mumu?
Or Kha'Zix.
That does happen.
Or win on Rengar.
All of these things other junglers don't really do right now.
Because the lane swap played out the way it did, though, Incarnation had free reign to just constantly shove in mid, put some pressure on Rookie's Echo here. High even went to the flank there to get him down, but Zitai, he is comfortably farming in this lane, whereas Darius has a hard time farming, especially with a melee support helping him against double range like a Bard. Eat one double stun and you get punished incredibly hard, so Balls will have some trouble here.
What's most interesting to me about this is the Balls lane with Lemonation is probably the most common thing for Cloud9 to happen. All the way back, even in 2014, this was an incredibly common lane setup. Even the championship against TSM in 2014, almost every game, Sneaky was solo laning top on Tristana or Corki.
The problem with that lane strategy is, though, that Tristana just almost automatically shoves the lane if she skills her E, so much farm gets funneled into Zitai, whereas wave management is paramount to making that top lane support synergy work. You want to deny as many creeps as you can. Rookie here, though.
Yeah, look at this. Incarnation certainly winning the 1v1. Rookie takes a ton of damage. Hasn't had to use that flash yet, but it's coming close. That early Fiendish Codex, Incarnation really putting that extra damage to good use.
It took Incarnation a little while to get settled in the mid lane since he just started playing professionally this summer split.
Definitely.
But particularly since High came back in, he's really turned into a force. And all the hype that was coming into the season from Incarnation is actually being realized in a lot of games come later in the summer split and specifically early on here at Worlds.
It's actually fun to see him perform on control mages because mainly when he came into C9, he was an assassin player. Everybody expected him to play assassins at Worlds. Now he's picking Azir and doing well so far.
He's also in a super dangerous place right now because Kakao is in his own jungle. At least he has some help from High on his own side.
Yeah, it's true. Still has that flash, still has that barrier in case the worst case scenario happens.
Zitai is already a full level ahead of Balls, so we need to see C9 punish somewhere or use the advantage on Sneaky's experience to get an objective, do something.
And it's exactly what we were talking about before the game, and all the teams have been picking Darius. They're giving him pick priority, but they're not prioritizing him within the game. And all of these Dariuses are playing from behind, not due to their own choice, but due to team choices. It's not like he's losing the first levels 1 to 5. He is level 5 when the opponent is level 6. In this game, it's level 6 to level 4 by the time they actually meet in lane.
And
look where Kakao is.
Comes Kakao. Looks like they're going to try to dive Balls here. Balls underneath the turret. Zitai, Kakao coming in. He's in a lot of trouble. Gets the Q off onto Zitai, but there's a Mega Gnar right away. Stuns come through and Balls has no chance. First blood goes to Zitai. Flashes to avoid some turret hits, but not a bad trade for first blood.
The only chance Balls had to survive that gank was if he flashed the Gnar ultimate. He tried to predict a drive, but he got caught by the very end of it and still ended up stunning on the turret. That really hurts him because he lost the wave. Cloud9 almost has to counter, but it's pretty hard to dive here 3v2 instead of a straight 2v1.
Balls does have teleport from base. He almost has to go for it.
He's only level 4. This is tricky.
Speaking of teleport, they're coming in onto the spot lane. Kitties and Kid in a lot of trouble. Kitties comes back in, gets very low, taken out. Immediately the revenge of Balls is real as Kid takes a lot of damage too. Looks like C9 though has to flee. They got the support, couldn't quite take down Kid though. Meanwhile, a brawl in the mid lane. Incarnation could be in trouble. Flashes out of the stun and Rookie has to back away now. Takes some poking on the way out, but Incarnation, no mana for him. This fight in the mid lane's over.
Yeah, needed to burn the flash, was able to maintain the barrier.
Oh.
The main play right there was just the bot lane dive. I mean, Cloud9 is trying to force the They've got the double teleport, but none of this changes the fact that Balls is still 2 levels behind Zitai. And it's not necessarily to his own fault. It's the team not having priority. Similar thing happened in their first game against AHQ, where they put him in the lane far behind.
And that's also the nature of the game. Bot lanes can play from behind much more easily than top laners because
Especially Darius.
Especially Darius, indeed. Because 2v2, you can be behind some items as long as there's not a BF sword disparity at all. A couple extra potions, you know, you drop some CS, but top lane, that's 1v1, especially in a counter matchup like a Gnar. C9's early lane prioritization has been off, and Balls, yeah, he's getting punished for it. Zitai now just hit level 7. Balls is still level 5.
Well, it seems like, I mean, if you have a Darius on your team, you have to remember there's a Darius on your team. Give him a little bit of help. Let the guy get ahead a little bit. He's supposed to be the one that comes in and does a ton of damage. You can't do that in a situation like this. Still level 7 to level 5. Zitai going Meganar, throws Balls against the wall. Balls
the minion
in a bit of trouble. There's the stun. Little bit of minion tanking helping out there. Oh, the Q misses. Flash Cocoon misses Zitai. He's going to back away. Repel coming in. Can they catch him? Zitai, no flash. Still looks like he's going to get away. Meanwhile, another duel in the mid lane. Emperor's Divide does not hit Rookie somehow, some way. No kills result at the end.
Couple nice sidesteps there. Zitai hops out of the cocoon. Rookie sidesteps the ultimate. Otherwise, he would have found himself in the tower. Would have been forced to use that ultimate, obviously. No kills would have happened anyways.
So close, though.
The minion tanking that house for Balls.
Save.
Very nice. Honestly, though, IG, the mid lane Rookie has been getting beaten on CS. It's somewhat expected for an Echo Burst and Azir. He's itemizing defensively, and he's starting to make some really aggressive moves. The fact that there's been very little jungle priority on that mid lane, Rookie is trying to take advantage of. So many of these aggressive plays that he's doing just to stay close to Incarnation could actually be punished by High camping for a gank.
And Kiddies, they're fine playing this lane slightly from behind. Bard, obviously, with those health packs, gives you plenty of sustain if you don't get all in. Just over time, you can spam health packs in lane, then you back off, and when you have 4 or 5 chimes, you take them, and they go incredibly quick because each chime gives you additional movement speed out of combat. You come back to lane, sustain up again. Sivir with Spell Shield doesn't get punished, so Cloud9, where they're ahead in experience, can't punish. IG, where they are ahead in experience, they're punishing Balls. They're looking for another dive.
Oh, more action down the mid lane. The duel continues. Incarnation taking quite a bit. Still has that barrier. Rookie needs to be aware. He's got his under tilt back in with the ult. Gets a stun onto Incarnation. Could be in trouble. Again, he pops the barrier. Incarnation low, and Rookie takes the 1v1 duel.
Such aggression by Rookie. Flashing offensively, ulting offensively, dashing offensively. There's no counter to that, and Incarnation finally falls to his aggression.
That Ball's in a bit of trouble too. Cacao comes in. Nice ultimate. Pushes Balls back. Doesn't have the flash to get away. Can they catch him? Zitai hopping in off his lane friend. That was awkward, but Balls goes down anyway. Didn't get the heal off that Q. Need elimination. Throws the ult down. Kid blocks it with the spell shield. Has to flash away anyway. Teleport coming in. Can't save the AD carry. Rookie coming from the mid lane. Could get bad for C9. Elimination goes down, and Sneaky has to flee.
A series of unfortunate events for Cloud9 and great events for IG. If Rookie can start snowballing this game, it's going to be incredibly hard for Cloud9 to get turret sieges up.
We know how good Rookie is on this Echo, and Cloud9 has to be terrified.
But just look at the bravado from Rookie in that mid lane. He's not afraid of High at all. Even though he knows his jungler is setting up a gank in the top lane, he goes so aggressively. High, his top laner died, his bot lane was fighting, his mid laner died, and he was nowhere to be found. So his pathing, used early to get himself ahead, he hasn't used that advantage at all to help his lanes that he actually put behind with the early map movement.
Wow, just like that. A little bit of a lead, almost 1,000 gold for IG.
Yeah, it's actually fairly surprising with all the things that just went for IG that it's only that much of a gold lead. But the ultimate to kind of start this thing off, not even to save time for the teleport, and it baits Sneaky into going aggressive, but they're against a double teleport team. They don't respect the teleport of Rookie coming in. It's countered. He picks up an easy kill, and Sneaky has to fall away. And that's specifically what Cloud9 has been playing their early game around, is getting Sneaky ahead in the lane. Luckily, he didn't die, but it still gets rid of some of their advantage.
Elimination really doing work to at least keep his AD carry alive by slowing down Rookie.
Yeah, but also in that top lane, we talked about experience, also CS, Rookie and Incarnation still duking it out here, but Balls trailing behind half the CS of his lane opponent. This is one of the largest gold disparity or CS disparities at 10 minutes that we've seen this entire tournament. Balls really getting the worst end of that champion trade.
Yep. Rookie comes in again, the Cocoon gets thrown out, doesn't work. Emperor's Divide, pushes Rookie back, just ults to his former self and escapes. Oh, meanwhile, Turret goes down in bot lane. C9 taking their first.
Sneaky and Lemon, aside from that gank, have been winning that lane pretty happily. And this is the way Cloud9's team composition wants to work. Triss takes turrets, Azir takes turrets. They need pressure. The way IG stops it is if they force fights with Echo. That is the matchup, and that's the make or break point in this game.
High nearly got bounced back under turret by that explosive cask from Kakao. Would have been a little bit iffy because High still doesn't have that flashback. Looks like they're going to be able to grab an early dragon, though.
C9 putting a lot of eggs in Sneaky's basket too. No Avarice Blade picked up by him. Raw damage, BF Sword, Pickaxe. He really wants to get that damage in to win that lane, get some turrets, more map pressure because they need to do something to counteract the advantage that ZZTai has now in that top lane.
Yeah, IG grouping a little bit in that mid lane now.
I think it's time to move Rookie to a side lane and keep Kiddies in the mid lane, or Kid and Kiddies rather. That also opens up many interesting roam opportunities for Bard. He can roam halfway to the bot and top lane and then just magical journey behind whoever's defending that wave with Tempered Fate.
Very true.
Specifically, you also want the Echo to have better flank opportunities and a better use of his teleport when it does come up, because that is the way IG stops Cloud9's turret chaining.
Rookie getting or having to run. Sneaky getting aggressive there. Looks like he'll make it out.
Yeah, and with Rookie being in the mid lane right there, he ends up getting caught. Right now with Kid in the bottom lane, that could very easily be an Echo and a Sivir sitting safely in a turret. So they've lost a little bit of pressure here, and now it's much harder for IG to engage a fight, which is what they need to do to stop the Triss and Azir at the turret. If they get 5 seconds on this turret, maybe even less, they can take it completely down.
Yeah, Tristana does a ton of damage. The minions pushing in, but it looks like they'll get cleared pretty easily by IG for now anyway.
IG is also way more comfortable in split matchups. 1v1, Gnar wants to just 1v1. Yes, he can flank, but he will beat his lane opponent. Echo can pretty much take on anybody on that Cloud9 lineup, so grouping is not what IG is necessarily looking for. Flanks, just like he pointed out earlier, that's what they want. Push up the side lanes, then converge on the mid lane. Make Cloud9 confused and just try and snipe Sneaky.
Ball's just hit level 8 now. He is so far behind both Rookie and ZTai. It's rough, man.
The lane discrepancy is gargantuan. It was 3 levels before he hit level 8. It's just under double CS. Black Cleaver has been completed and then some, whereas Balls is still working on his. Doesn't even have his Kindle gem yet.
ZTai could actually hit the Flame Horizon over Balls. That's being 100 CS ahead, something Flame did regularly when he was back on CJ in Korea.
Maybe we'll see Flame yet at Worlds. He's the sub for LGD.
I think it's time to bring him in, guys. LGD is struggling. Bring Flame in.
Balls is 1,600 gold behind right now, if I did that math correctly. Yeah, over 1,600 gold behind right now.
So that actually means it's incredibly critical that Cloud9 can play around ZTai's teleport timing. As long as ZTai has his teleport timing up, IG can win any fight. But if he ever burns that, the other 4 members of Cloud9 actually have a gold advantage over IG. And that's where they're going to want to force their plays. But right now, they can't force those plays because ZTai is freely pushing, no pressure to stop teleport, and always having that high teleport threat.
Yeah. Well, Sneaky doing what he can to put a little bit of pressure on that bot lane, just getting a little bit more farm. Back to the 1v1 in mid between Rookie and Incarnation.
CC9 doing that though, they're avoiding ZTai at all costs, so they're moving multiple members down in the bot lane, get some vision at least, try and make it so that IG has to rotate between the towers and maybe they can find an opening. They're also aggressively taking away a couple of jungle camps, trying to close out that gold advantage, but ZTai in top lane just farming up for free.
Wow. Sneaky managing to get a decent amount of damage under that turret for the short time he was there for.
This is something we didn't see TSM do, that deep vision in the enemy jungle to propel your lead forward. Please take some map control. C9 do show some mastery of that vision control.
It's good. They're being much more aggressive with the little map advantages that they have.
They're playing very distinctly around the advantages in the mid and bot lane. Those CS advantages are also growing. That's why this gold in the game is still very close. Nashor's Tooth on Azir is a big power spike. Trist with Infinity Edge is incredibly powerful as well. So frequently, Sneaky will go Avarice Blade and play a farm game, but he knows it is incredibly important that they can push this edge right now. He did not go Avarice Blade this match.
Cloud9, they can win fights even without boss, so they have 2 really good teamfight damage dealers, and they have a Braum to potentially deny some skill shots, deny some projectiles, soak up some damage, so by no means are they out of it, especially when it comes to teamfights. But isolated matchup, that's where IG wants to look at.
So at this point, if you're Balls, do you just go a little bit more tankier, just try to be the guy that soaks some cooldowns and frees some space up for Incarnation and Sneaky to do their thing?
Probably.
Yep.
you don't want to plan for these situations on Darius. Like, the fact that his bleed now does physical damage,
it's not ideal, yeah.
Makes Black Cleaver like such a core item, it's not even funny on him. But at this point, you almost just have to eat your losses and just never catch your Black Cleaver because he really needs to be able to live in this game.
He's probably going to help with Black Cleaver, a little bit. Yeah. IG pushing down, dragging up in about 1:20. And the control around that Dragon area starting to be contested a bit.
Tempered Fate will be big in this team fight, so that can make or break these long range, suddenly whacking away at you. If Azir puts up a couple of soldiers, he can poke you out, but if you Tempered Fate him...
Kid has to use that ult to get away from the damage of Incarnation, and that is not what IG wants right now.
Yeah, this opens up a window for Cloud9 to maybe take this mid lane turret, unless they wanted the Burns and Ties teleport down right now. He just hit Meganar.
I think they can. They're gonna, nearly get the turret. Maybe it got it. Yep.
Oh, Kid almost died because he walked next to the giant bomb on the turret.
You know, Kid and Kitties have been a problem for IG for a long time, and it's not changing in this game. There's still the liability in this team.
The fact that Kid has to back here just creates even more pressure. Cloud9 is pushing this. Maybe they can get the teleport out as a tie.
That could be. I mean, Kid is not anywhere around without that ADC. Looks like the teleport's going to come in for Zatai.
This is good for C9.
So good for C9. Yeah. Now they can actually play around even more strongly their strong 4 in this game, as long as balls can just live against the Gnar.
Yeah, all you need to do is not give the Gnar a bunch of kills. C9, do you think they can rotate pretty comfortably over to Dragon now, or do you think you go for that top turret?
It'll be a very interesting choice. They have one Dragon. Cloud9 typically doesn't win off of Dragon snowballs, so maybe they get the turrets. I think the gold is more advantageous at this point in the game.
Yeah, their access to bottom lane jungle or bot jungle is denied too, so moving up top and getting a couple of deep wards, just protecting balls, even if it's just a little bit, making sure so you can get a tower and even a blue buff to boot, that's already enough for C9. They have acquired what they need to off that play. Anything else right now is just a bonus.
Makes sense. That is your turret too. Really doing a good job of keeping IG bottled up to spit. Balls finally takes that top turret, getting a bit of farm back. He's not behind Zatai by the entire amount like he was earlier, only down 2 levels. Well, still down 2 levels.
Yeah.
Sneaky. Oh.
Where Zatai goes, Cloud9 goes somewhere else at this point in the game. It's the largest advantage. Just like where Incarnation and Sneaky go, they want to push their strength. They're actually going to get 2 turrets totally out of this Dragon, I think, if they can get a quick push going down here.
Well, they can get a lot of damage on it either way.
We'll see what they do. Look at the wards too that Cloud9 have backed themselves up for. They have really, they knew that IG was going to go for this Dragon. They didn't really go and look for so many sightseeing and stop it. Cloud9 will get this tower here, but IG's in the mid lane.
IG is making a strong power play right here with 5 in the mid lane, trading the turrets as well as the Dragon. It makes the overall Dragon more worth it. But if we see all the turrets that Cloud9 was just able to take down, as well as the additional farm, the gap between balls and Zatai actually closed pretty substantially during that. It's an overall win for Cloud9.
Yeah, and overall, they do something really smart. They make sure that at least have one part of the IG's jungle deep water. If you have one element deep water, it's so much easier to get the wards in the other side because you actually have either vision or process of elimination to know roughly where your opponents are. Compare that to the TSM game last game. That vision was completely gone. Dark. It was so hard for them to get that vision. That's why amazing whenever he was defending, he could stop people from coming in. So C9's vision control is a lot better this game.
And so much of this, I think, comes down to High's ability to shot call in the mid and late game.
Very true.
It's something that was completely lacking from Cloud9 in the early season, and it's something that has always been amazing for High at Worlds. Yes, he doesn't do things junglers do in the early game, and Cloud9 pays the price for it. But when they can get into these situations, 21 minutes in, 1,000 gold lead on IG, and IG has 2 Korean speakers and 3 Chinese speakers, High shot calling should be superior, and it gives a big edge to Cloud9.
Now IG taking off a bit of that edge as they take the bot lane tier 1 turret. That's all 3 outer turrets down now in favor of them.
Gotta say though, disappointed in Kitties. Would like to see some plays with Tempered Fate. I really think
you really haven't been talking about Bard at all.
No, because there's nothing happening. But you can find so many openings, but you gotta be creative, moving around the map. From a 1 screen to a 1.5 screen distance, Tempered Fate is almost undodgeable if you cast it properly. You can always go a flash.
Cow.
The cow right now, forcing C9 out of the jungle. Here we go.
Oh, Tempered Fate locks up Elimination High. They're going to keep coming in. There's a teleport for Cloud9. Balls entering the fray here as well. Cow has to flash away. Oh, big explosive cast. Elimination push back into the ult. Slows down IG a little bit anyway. The fight avoided, but a lot of ultimates burned on both sides.
Good Braum shield there by Elimination, denying the Cosmic Binding there from Bard.
Really key interaction right there. I also thought that maybe Balls would have canceled that teleport. He flashed immediately after landing. I think he was worried about also getting Cosmic Binding. But amongst all that, Cloud9 actually gets another turret. Sometimes they are so good of turning what starts as a bad play into an advantage. A very particular play happened in AHQ where Balls died in the bottom lane and Cloud9 turned it into a massive team fight in the mid lane. This was a microcosm of that type of play.
Yeah, that's called a creative shot calling, and that's something High is really good at. Compared to Lost Words, when he went on his little solid snake run on the side lanes with that Zed, just trying to hide. That's something you see High do, and very many other shot callers just can't get to that level. So actually very impressed that Cloud9 managed to come back, because at this meta game, being behind in your top lane or half or double the CS is...
We have not seen any other teams be able to play around it. But 2 games now, Cloud9, maybe we have seen another team. You can add it in here. I don't think of it off the top of my head.
No, I was just
did
thinking
game 1 against AHQ. Balls went into lane at a level down and 20 CS down, and Cloud9 was able to avoid being punished.
I was just thinking Balls trained for this in Korea.
I can see why you didn't say it.
There you go. He's gone to the Korea time chamber. He's come out 10 times stronger.
Yeah.
Still slightly abandoned in the early game by his team, but hey.
A diamond in the rough.
He only died twice. It's pretty good.
Hey, I will say, as we have a small lull in the game, of all the NA and EU players that went over to Korea to scrim and play solo queue, Balls put in the most work of any player. He struggled mightily to climb in solo queue. He actually never reached Master, but he played over 300 games in the under 1 month boot camp on top of scrims.
Wow.
Over 10 games a day on top of, he was playing out of his mind, so much effort, and he has improved. Even if he's not at the level of the other top laners, the work has paid off.
I mean, this game overall, he didn't really make any mistakes. Any other top laner would have ended up under a tower about to get dove, so it's just unfortunate that C9 managed to keep him hanging there. High now getting caught.
High. Teleport coming in, and High in a lot of trouble. Repels over the blue buff. Can he get away? Doesn't look like it. Turns in for a bit of damage, but he goes down. And IG, a bit of a power play now as they've got the 5v4. What are they going to do with it?
Huge pick. I actually wasn't entirely sure how that one started, but maybe he was going for vision control. Now they're trying to make a play.
Doesn't catch anybody. Tempered Fate.
It is so hard.
Useful that time.
It's so hard to cast that from that distance. You really want to be 1.5 screens at max, because otherwise you can actually sidestep it if the player is experienced against Bard. Some players might panic flash, but your max is 1.5 screen distance, because otherwise you can just dodge it.
Yeah, and the play is dead at this point.
Yep.
In clearing the ward, Incarnation got half health bars off Kakao and
well, Incarnation has that Rylai's now. He's doing a lot of damage. He's getting that little slow as well. They've got to really watch out when they're going through chokes. It's not exactly the tankiest team ever. I mean, Gnar obviously is going to be a bit of a force to be reckoned with, but still, he hasn't gone for the tankiest build.
And the game might actually get very explosive in the next 5 minutes, because both these supports seem to be building towards the Zeeks.
I think you might be right.
He should be able to complete that probably on his next back. He has both components. Same for Kitties. I would say Tristana is the scarier AD carry with the Zeke's Harbinger completed because of the quick burst of damage you can do, but Sivir's also no slouch.
Oh, Kid taking a lot of damage, has to bring that Sivir out to get away, takes a big crit. Is the bomb enough? Ooh, not quite. Not quite, but again, Kid becoming the liability, getting caught, taken out of the equation, and C9, they can clean up the vision around that Baron pit. They may be able to bait it a bit. Whoa, damage over the wall from Balls. Looks like Rookie's gonna have to use his ult, though, to get away.
This could very well be a Baron fight. Yeah, they have vision control. They know Kid is low without summoner spells, and the ultimate is down on Rookie. Plus, they don't actually see them in here. I still expect IG to come in to fight them.
He needs to check with ulti. Bard ulti reveals the Baron, but Kakao's face checking.
Z-Tai comes in, Tempered Fate, Use catches a few people. IG has to back away.
Goes back on the Baron.
High tries to go back on the Baron, doing a little bit of damage. Rookie takes out Lemonation. Ball's getting very low. Baron goes over to Red Team. C9 managed to get it, but will they leave the fight alive? Z-Tai all over an Incarnation. Incarnation gets 2 kills before getting taken out finally by Kakao. And Sneaky takes down Rookie. It ends up being 3 for 4, but Sneaky still has that Baron.
I would call that a creative fight. Like, what was that? That was such a strange decision, but ultimately Cloud9 does win the trade. They have 1 person with Baron, which is enough to empower the minions for any siege they do, and they traded 4 kills for 3 kills.
So, are you a little bit surprised Sneaky isn't going for this dragon right now?
I think the better is for him to base and get the tempo, get the items to spawn together with his teammates. Let's watch that again. Tempered Fate actually
I think
Zit tie actually didn't really help. Yeah, it
cancels the Gnarl.
Yeah, it's canceled Gnarl there, so not a good Tempered Fate there.
Yeah.
Minus points there, and then Balls drops immediately. But look at Incarnation, what he does in this team fight.
Incarnation did so much work. As IG was funneling in, he basically did all of the damage for Cloud9 this fight, and Sneaky did a little bit of cleanup on the backside. If it was not for his Azir right there,
yeah,
Cloud9 would have been aced.
Yeah, this could have been a really good fight for IG, but Incarnation really leveled that playing
would need to teleport down, but they might have to forfeit this dragon. It's only dragon number 2, so it's very forfeitable.
It's shocking that overall it's only the 3rd dragon even in the game, but C9 looks like they really want to Cocoon on to Kitties. Kitties can't. Oh, he got to the magical journey in the end. Is he going to live through the bomb, though? Tempered Fate will save his life. Alt used, though. Oh, but Balls comes in for the dunk in the end. And now Sneaky, the backline, gets on the Kid. There's a kill there. Sneaky could start getting the kills. Cacao with one, though. Balls does go down there in the middle of all that. IG trying to turn it around, but it looks like C9 has enough. Triple kill for Sneaky.
Ace for Cloud9!
Helps them ace, gets the ace.
They still have the Baron buff on Sneaky, so they can push with Baron and powered minions. If only they had a wave. What a ridiculous fight.
I can't believe they pulled that one off, but it was all about Balls getting into the back line. It was all about Sneaky being safe, coming from the side. Great fight by C9.
Balls is doing so much work, just soaking up damage and attention.
Yeah.
Sneaky went untouched that fight. We talked about this before. 2 carries is enough to win these fights. Incarnation's Azir and Sneaky's Tristana are straight up carrying these fights.
Balls is what I like to call an offensive punching bag, right? Because you hit it a bunch of times, once in a while it swings back, takes you out.
Watch that again here.
Goodness, he got the Noxian Might in this from executing with his ultimate because Kitties gets so low, and even though the Temper Fate had only delayed the inevitable, so let's actually watch the other side of the fight right here and see how Incarnation and Sneaky do work here.
Whoa.
Gets the static shiv crit as well as the dunk here. And Incarnation actually doesn't have the perfect ult, but it still zones Cacao and Rookie off to the side a little bit. And Rookie gets bounced back as he tries to dash in for some finishing blows, ultimately able to get finished by Sneaky, who remained untouched for the entire fight.
Yeah, Sneaky, really good aggressive jump there, but still safely. He knows he can always out-trade Kid there in the 1v1, and then he switches with the help from Balls after executing the Sivir to the rest of the targets, and nobody could challenge him at all.
And they get the Dragon on top of all of that. C9 in control of this game.
Elimination actually not looking to finish that Zeke, so he's just trying to get more tanky. He looks to day one and Aegis before he gets that Zeke's.
Interesting choice. He's also really, it may not even get it in this game if Cloud9 keeps up their aggression.
Yeah.
They have an open inhibitor here that they might be trying to go for.
It would put Sneaky on 95% crit chance in these fights, so...
That's why we were expecting it, because it's such a burst of damage.
Especially combined out with Tristana Skews, my favorite AD carry to play Zeke with, but Elimination just values the peeling more, and I mean, in a sense, it makes sense if you can just stay alive and prevent people from even hitting Sneaky.
Yeah. And specifically with the amount of damage Incarnation is doing, Rookie's going to want to assassinate him with the flank on Echo, and they want a little bit of insurance for that. We're talking a lot about Cloud9. We do need to talk about IG because it's all about the flanks that they need to be able to get. The Baron call, as well as the Dragon call from Cloud9, were super risky. So the opportunities are still open for IG if they can keep up with the pace of this game.
A lot of teams at this point in the game, they get baited into straight up team fight after team fight, though. With this composition, IG can't forget that they have to flank or set up favorable team fights with Tempered Fate. Tempered Fate hasn't been really been used effectively at all, so we really need to see Zitai either split push or start collapsing from the flank.
Yeah, IG looks lost, man. I mean, they haven't been playing around that Bard ult very well, and the Bard ults themselves haven't been that great. And C9, man, these guys are looking so good now. That improbable run through the gauntlet, now they're looking to go 2-0 up in their group at Worlds.
Every game they play seems to make them stronger.
It does.
The longer High plays in the jungle, the more the more confident Incarnation becomes as well, because he has just been improving game over game over game.
This is a completely different player that joined Cloud9 initially over in NALCS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, High's almost a completely different jungler already. The shot calling is suddenly, you know, or finally, I would say, getting kind of equalized by his ability to just simply be a good jungler, too.
And for IG, they really need to buckle down and win right here. They're the favorites for some in this group, along with Fnatic. And if they start 0-2 as disastrous, they still have Rookie and Cacao, who have been waiting to get to Worlds for so long. If they start Worlds by losing to an EU and then an NA team,
it'd be pretty shocking.
Gonna be very, very shocking.
Elimination Getting some damage onto Kakao. Gonna wait to proc that stun. Gonna turn around now for Kakao, taking a lot of damage. There's the Bramalt coming through. Elimination backing off. Rookies uses that Zonia's early.
Gonna be big.
Tempered
Great
fate.
Bartle.
Traps to pull up. Yeah, IG doing quite a bit, but now they're bundled up. The damage from, the damage from Azir and from Sneaky is so big. Double kill for Azir already. High helps them finish it off. Rookie on the run, and this, you'd almost kind of assume it's gonna be an
Incarnation
ace.
with a play, 20%
Dude.
about to drop, and he just goes in like a man, gets a good ulti and wins that fight for C9.
Really reminding me a bit of Coco's Azir play on CJ Entis, man. Just playing that hyper-aggressive Azir, getting the damage done.
The team fighting from Incarnation and Sneaky has been so good this game. That was a fight that IG had the initiation on. Not only did they catch Lemonation early and burn his ultimate, they then tempered fate. Multiple Cloud9 members for the setup, but Cloud9 turned it around.
And they changed Stun Incarnation too against the wall. A little more damage, a little more focus from IG. He would have instantly dropped without casting a single ability that fight, but because he lived, mostly due to the barrier too, 20%. Watch that again. Look for how Lemonation overextends just a little bit. He tags Rookie, so that helps him in the fight.
You could tell Cloud9 was aggressively looking for a fight. That's why he was up like that. But then, Zonia's into 3.
And look for the Q from Bar here. Stuns Incarnation,
yeah.
but he survives long enough to make that play.
Yeah, and then he just flies right into a house, but it doesn't matter.
Kid should have flashed over and finished off Incarnation. He was too passive in that fight. He could have changed the entire scope of the fight, and by proxy, this game.
I can hardly blame him. Sneaky's been two-shotting him for the majority of the game. You don't want to flash near that if you're going to be executed right afterwards.
Sneaky's damage is just out of control right now, both him and Incarnation. And I mean, C9, the other thing about this too is they keep managing to find IG in these choke points, just like the one they're walking through right now. Tempered Fate hits a minion. That's about it. IG needs to back off.
Crepo continues to shake his head at the bar play.
Sad bar. I'm shaking
Another two-man Baron. This is a picture replay of the last one, but this time Cloud9 is ready to turn.
Bramalt used. Kakao trying to get in the back lines high. Very low. Pops at Zonia's early. Can Incarnation turn this one around again? Big split. C-Ty push back. C9 balls takes down the Bram. There's a big big Gnarl. C9 could be in trouble. Hyper survive. Turns it around though. The damage from Incarnation coming in. There's a double kill again. Already Z-Ty desperately trying to keep the fight under control, and he gets a Rookie with the triple kill, trying to make it away against Balls. He's gonna run for it, and that's a fight that went even up 4 for 4, but it looks like Balls might be able to catch Rookie in the end. Maybe.
Yeah, I think Rookie's a little too quick.
Not.
If he gets a little bit more mana, he can get out of here. Specifically, that is the dangerous shot calling of Cloud9, and this time, he's pretty fast with that Dead Man's play. But he has no summoner spells.
All right.
Yeah.
Barely doesn't get
Whoa!
it.
He needed to teleport back too because
No kidding.
2 inhibitors were down during that, so really Cloud9 would have just had to stall. They end up getting one anyways.
But so close.
That fight was crazy.
That massive Gnar into parallel convergence, and then Rookie going back to it to proc it, almost at Cloud9's demise, but they managed to hang on yet again. Incarnation, very low HP, gets a couple damage spells off, makes the fight even yet again.
Yeah, a couple things I noticed about this fight as well. Balls was able to get in the backline very easily because IG is so focused on flanking, nothing is actually killing him, so his slightly behind state doesn't matter. But also, Kid, this fight, flashed forward to kill Sneaky.
Yeah, Sneaky was zoned off 3v1. Even with a massive buster shot, it wasn't enough to survive that fight. But right now, we see another Baron setup here from Cloud9.
Yeah, the tempo is continually being pushed. This time, Cloud9 with the Azir can kill it so quickly. They got a Bard ult to pit right now.
They're doing it fast. Here we go. Baron taken out. Cloud9 already has a Bramalt, catches Kakao, and they're in that choke yet again. Here comes the damage. Tempered Fate locks them down, but it's only delaying the inevitable as C9 comes through. Victorious already in this team fight with a kill on Kakao. Kid trying to run away. They have to burn that Sivir ult to disengage, and C9, now they're coming in with Baron.
Only one Nexus turret remaining. Baron-empowered minions will be in 2 different waves. This could be the end of this game.
Certainly could be. IG needs to have a miracle fight to turn this one around. Z-Ty is going to need to come up big, but he's so far away from Meganar. That turret dying almost immediately. Rookie desperately goes in, and Z-Ty backs away as well. Double kill already for Incarnation. The damage is 2-0. Watch C9 completes the ace, and they complete the 2-0 already at Worlds. This Cloud9, you know, I think Faith Age is starting to apply to more than just CLG at this point. You just lump in C9 with that. These guys are looking so good.
They're almost looking better than Cloud9 from last year, which is crazy to say after this game. Almost. Incarnation's mid lane play in particular is mechanically amazing so far. The plays he was putting out in this game were very impressive.
I can't help but wonder though that IG they took a wrong turn at one point because they could have punished Cloud9 so much harder. No team should be able to come back from that. Your top laner being gold level 4 against level 6 with his pickup composition. But then Cloud9, they find the opening, they chunk out Kid. That one moment in the mid lane where Rookie tried to defend 2 and then they lose their middle tower instead of going for the 1v1 split push.
Well, man, credit to Balls as C9 takes a bow, man. He was so far behind, stayed relevant. That's what you got to do as a top laner. You're going to have those games where you're so far behind in levels. And CS, as long as you can just not die, as long as you can just keep it up, keep the farm coming, you can come back and make a difference.
And you can see IG is pretty distraught after that loss because the situation that they face is rather daunting. They're 0-2. If Fnatic beats AHQ, there would be multiple 2-0 teams that they have to come back on, and only the top 2 teams make it out of groups. It was feeling like an inevitability for most IG fans as well as IG that they would make it out of this group, but they are now faced with a much different reality.
Well, IG too, coming into this, I mean, a lot of the Chinese analysts saying this team is very inconsistent. They have the high highs and the low lows, but we expected more than this.
If Fnatic continue to dominate the group, which a lot of people expect, IG still control their own fate. In the rematch against Cloud9, beating HQ potentially twice, which is the weaker opponent from them left so far, they can still tie it up in the group. We can see a very exciting finish closure next week in this group.
That's true. It's a double round robin. Everybody has to play everybody else twice. So these first games, while they are telling, while they are important, you can compensate for it. You can come back with a better plan next time. We'll have to see if IG can come back and do that next week.
Yeah, that was thinking about this game a little bit more. We're wondering, like, where did IG go astray? Because they had the top lane advantage, and so much that, and some of it is in Bard because they weren't able to force any team fights. But more particularly, it was literally just about Zatai not finding a way to become involved. And the creative shot calling of Cloud9. They are not following the same script that any other team is here at Worlds. So you have to be also creative on your own end in order to beat that. The moves and rotations they're making are things other teams just aren't doing.
There was such a big disparity between Balls and Zatai, but the even bigger disparity in this game was the way Cloud9 played around their weaknesses compared to how IG failed to play around their strengths. And that really allowed Cloud9 to come back into the game, and then they did it phenomenally, though. To come back from such a large deficit, I think it may have even been the largest CS deficit at 10 minutes, was something like 36-70 that we've seen in the top lane this entire tournament. They still managed to beat that, and Balls still stayed relevant.
There was a point where it was like 140-70.
That was disgusting.
It got that bad.
Yep.
Looks like we're setting up an interview with Shocks just a little bit later. And it looks like we've got High and Sneaky on the desk, if I can tell properly from behind here.
Yeah, that's going to be it. Speaking of Sneaky, that's another one of the strengths that Cloud9 had on the team. We talked so much about Zatai and Balls being a mismatch. Sneaky and Lemon over Kid and Kitties was very exposing for Kid and Kitties. They have been known as the weaker bottom lane of the Chinese teams that are coming here to Worlds.
They certainly
and they're
look
getting
it.
beaten pretty heavily.
And if you're in a situation like that, you can't play the Bard because Bard needs pretty immaculate team cohesion, bot lane cohesion to make it work.
And a lot of roams, really, just to make those picks. But most importantly, for me, Sneaky, while any of the members of Cloud9 have been fluctuating in skill up and down during maybe the entire summer split,
steady.
I think Sneaky is the most consistent, one of the most consistent players in the NALCS, rather, and the most consistent player on Cloud9. He has always been a threat to be reckoned with, especially on AD carries like Tristana, where he's not afraid to jump aggressively and make that play. So I'm a big Sneaky fan.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring it up again. We saw it the last time we saw the NA teams winning with Tristana. They were on this pick long before other teams were. So as far as playing with and against, the explosive charge and how quickly it can take down turrets in contested scenarios as well as uncontested scenarios, NA teams have much more practice with, and it's paying big dividends here in the first week.
You know, I got to say, too, they banned out the Morgana against Lemon Nation. He just picks up the Braum, does an amazing job with it, too. In the middle of team fights, we saw him individually attacking people, setting up those passives, setting up those stuns.
Especially against Sivir. If you watch later on those team fights, we didn't touch on it too much. Very often, his shield was blocking so many bouncing blades, ricochets, like boomerangs from Kid. That's why his damage was so low in these fights.
That's right, guys. It looks like it's time to send it down to Shocks for our post-game interview.
Thank you very much, guys. Indeed, with the victorious C9, it's Sneaky and High that have joined me here for this interview after... I'm gonna be honest. An incredible win over IG, in my opinion. A couple of things I want to ask you about. First off, coming into this game and Balls getting pretty far behind, on the other hand, having the advantage in the bottom lane. How did you try and even everything out?
I'd say that was kind of our fault that we got Balls in that position because I couldn't push into the top wave fast enough to get it to reset fully. So now I was able to get a pretty big advantage off that. And I only got like a small level lead, which is hard to push as an AD carry. So it was a bit rough. We had to take turret and then rotate to mid to really get any sort of advantage for ourselves.
Yeah, that did work out very well. And then there was this phase in the game where you guys went to some very risky shot calling, I would call it, around the Baron area a couple of times. Very close fights. What made you do that? What made you accelerate the game at that point, Hai?
Well, I'm pretty confident in my ability to understand how to play around Baron. I've done it so many times now. I know when we can do it, and I'm always asking my team how fast we can do it. So having the knowledge of how fast we can do Baron lets me know if we can do it or not. And during the game, you test them out to see if they check Baron right away or not, and then you get a feel for whoever their shot caller is. A lot of times they're either too scared to check or they check instantly every time. And you have to do it to gauge to see what they do, so that in the future you can make the right call on it.
You still have to play it out in the end, Sneaky, especially you had some very good moves in those endgame team fights together with Incarnation. Tell me about the synergy with him, because it seems ever since you rejoined the team and since the regionals, that synergy with Incarnation, just his level of play, has gone up tremendously.
Well, I'd say we've become pretty good friends with him over the course of the season. It's started a little bit rough because we were losing all the time, but as we kept winning and once we brought Hai in, the morale was like super up there, and now it's even better. So it's been a pretty good road with us.
Losing together, winning together, and right now it's winning 2-0 so far. Tell me how kind of your idea, your mindset, your momentum has changed from coming in as the absolute underdog in this group to doing amazing things, Hai.
Well, I came into this not thinking I was the underdog, because for me, I need to think that we are the best team for me to make the calls that a winning team would do. So if you go into a game not thinking you're going to win, I'll probably make like a bad call and not like, I don't know, I just assume I'm better than them, even if we're not, so I can make the correct calls. And it's very important that I think that way, and it's been working out pretty great.
Sneaky.
I kind of just play it as it goes. I don't really look at the names much. I have nameplates on, but I don't think about it. There's no fear factor there. I just kind of play my own game.
Definitely showed step 6, world domination. How's that going?
Oh, we're 2-0. So pretty damn good.
Well, congratulations. Pretty damn good indeed, Sneaky and Hai. Congratulations. C9, 2-0 in this group. Who'd have thunk it? Back to you guys.
Thank you, Shocks. Zyreen's a happy man. He called
it.
So surprises coming out of Group B yet again. A win there for Cloud9. Not as easy as you may have expected through the early game. I want to hit on, though, what Hai mentioned there, Zyreen, the mindset of needing to play from a place where he can make the decisions that a winning team would make.
It's really funny because I've actually played alongside Hai in ranked games before and in ranked 5s, and he micromanages everybody. And when he's in the mindset of we're better than these guys, he's constantly telling you things like, go here, do this, test that. And he's making sure that you're pushing up, going back. You always know what you need to do. So he's basically the puppeteer of Cloud9. He is the chess master. And when he's in his mindset and he's in his groove, you definitely see it. And I think it's extraordinarily important that he's able to do that on the world stage. And he was up against Kakao, who's definitely a world-class jungler and has a history of being an incredible jungler, and he didn't let up the pressure. He didn't let that get to him. Just amazing psychological mindset there.
Monty?
That's what just amazes me about Hai, that he can keep track of his own position, and on top of that, we know he's a very, very micromanaging style of shot caller, like Zyreen was saying. And to have both of these things simultaneously is really, I think, quite unique to him as a player, and has always, always, always given Cloud9 one of their biggest strengths.
But now I want to talk about the hole that they dug for themselves, that Sneaky did mention, because this can't be a trend that can continue throughout the entire tournament, because there is going to be a time when they can't come back from a deficit between their top laners. But it is a team effort to make sure that that top laner gets off on the right foot.
Yeah, you aren't always going to go up against Kid and Kitties in the bot lane and get this large advantage to kind of compensate for that. But definitely bouncing the wave appropriately. You heard Sneaky talking about how they didn't set balls up. It is a team effort. It is not just balls there from the get-go.
It's early picking top laners that are brutally melee and have very little good range matchups. Like, that's as easily as we can point it out. Like, Darius came into this, and sure, he was a power pick, but you play him on day one, you see that there are counter picks out there, and then you stop playing him in a blind fashion. pick him into the Olafs, pick him into other champions that he can have success, or get him a 1v1 lane and gank it repetitively, because one thing Darius does bring is a fantastic 2v2.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the aspects I think that we're seeing with some of these North American teams is that it's a region of weak top laners. So these teams are not used to setting their tops up properly to succeed because they're so unused to even getting carries out of that position, right? We can talk about Zion Spartan and his dominance, but even he had a pretty poor first game up against the Flash Wolves, right? There's been a lot of aspects where we take a look at KT, we take a look at SKT. These are teams that know how to play around carry tops, and they give them a wealth of resources.
Well, you know what we are good at, though, is taking an AD carry advantage and transitioning that into mid lane. Both CLG and Cloud9 do that, and they play to their strengths in this tournament, and it's working out for them. Despite it being a top lane bruiser-focused meta, we're still finding ways to open up games from the bot lane.
And that is one thing I will say, is I really like the addition of Tristana when you have Darius, because that champion has so much self-PL, and the ability to be able to reposition around team fights, chunk people out to set Darius up for success. Didn't happen in this game, but I have a feeling that when the likes of the SKTs start playing these champions together, that it is going to be fireworks across the Rift.
Yeah, and that's when we look at Cloud9's compositions from their last 2 games. What have they been doing? They take some fast-pushing AD carries, they take the Tristana, they take the Azir, they take the Veigar, these mid laners that have a huge zone presence and an ability to siege turrets. Now, what does this do? This hides balls. He doesn't really have to do anything at all. He can be behind. They will get him global gold and make him pseudo, I'm not going to say he was relevant because he really wasn't relevant in this game, but sort of relevant, a warm body for cooldowns to be used upon. But other than that, if some of these mid laners where they can effectively siege with get banned, that's my question. Where does Cloud9 go? Because somebody's going to crack this code about the sieging style, and C9 has to have another response.
Yeah, we did see evidence of that. He was at 1.2K down within a single push through the top, securing 2 turrets. From that global gold, brought him within only a 1K deficit, so they're able to make swings there. But as you said, we'll see if they can adapt if and when they are forced to. Right now, AHQ Esports and Fnatic are setting up on stage for our final game of the day. We'll be bringing you that matchup right after this. Stay with us.
Remember, you're in charge of your enemy person. Keep track of him like a hawk keeps track of a mouse.
That's a nice meme, dude.
We'll be the hawk, they'll be the mouse in this game.
Nice meme, dude.
We go hunting.
Speaking of teleport, they're coming in onto this bot lane. Kitty's and Kid in a lot of trouble. Kitty's come back in, gets very low, taken out immediately. The revenge of balls.
Okay, we got it. Echo. Echo. Get out.
We lose the fight. We lose the fight.
There's super chunk. Run. Yeah, he jumped over. Nice. Oh, you get him.
He has no ulti.
Okay, good job.
Nice.
And they're chunked.
Balls does go down there in the middle of all of it. IG trying to turn it around, but it looks like C9 has enough. Triple kill for Sneaky. The damage from Azir and from Sneaky is so big. Double kill for Azir already, and they complete the 2-0 already at Worlds.